surround yourself with the right people. If you surround yourself with the right people, you'll be able to ask the right questions and find the right answers in order to be very successful.
Hey, it's the Profit Answer Man, Rocky Lalvani. If you're new to the podcast, check out my interview with Mike Michalowicz. It's episode number 2. If you want to hear about each chapter in the Profit First book, go back and listen to episodes 3 through 13. Episode 1 is the why and how. On the Profit Answer Man, we learn money mastery without all the complicated accounting mumbo-jumbo using a simple system. Your accountant is busy documenting your transactions and creating a rearview mirror of what happened. My guess is you don't even look at the reports they sent you. If you're like most business owners, you struggle with this, and it's not your fault. We aren't taught money in school, and accountants aren't taught how to be profitable. The Profit First system created by Mike Michalowicz works, and he certified me to help you implement the system in your business. Remember, the new equation is sales minus profit equals expenses. Let's face it, without cash flow, you can't pay your employees, buy needed materials, or pay your mortgage and support your family. I help you to do that and more, so you can focus on the parts of the business you love and receive the rewards for your labor and investment into your business. The stronger you are as a business owner, the more jobs you create, the better we are as a country. Small business owners are the backbone of America, and for that, you deserve to be well rewarded. Just remember, more revenue does not equal more profit. That's why we focus on the bottom line. I love the concept of work less, make more. I also hate to hunt when it comes to sales. I prefer a system that keeps potential clients showing up on my calendar. That's what we're going to chat about today with our guest. How to build your business support systems. Kevin Tacher is also known as the Title King. He's the founder and CEO of Independence Title. He's a best-selling author, and he's been featured in many different publications, shared the stages with some of the best real estate and motivational speakers, worked with the FBI and the Florida Attorneys General to uncover real estate fraud across the state of Florida. He's a big philanthropist, getting involved in several nonprofits across the country. Kevin's donated towards reducing the struggles of individuals and families in poverty, helping abused and neglected children, and supporting our military, and helping with disaster relief. Let's meet Kevin and see how he's able to accomplish this all. Welcome to the Profit Answer Man, Kevin Tacher. It's great to have you join us today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I am excited to learn from you. Can you share a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been an entrepreneur for over 2 decades. I own a title insurance company in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I've been doing title insurance for pretty much my entire entrepreneurial journey. The one thing I like to always tell people, what I think is most unique about my story, is I was a firefighter up in New York and moved down to Florida just only 20 days before 9/11. And it's really shaped the way I have structured my entrepreneurial journey, which is really the basis of everything I learned as a firefighter, which is we go in the fire together. And what firefighters do very well is they will leave no man or woman behind. And that's very important. So I've taken that same philosophy into my title insurance company here in Fort Lauderdale, which basically translates to we've got your back, right? We're going to go in these real estate deals together. We'll leave the real estate deals together and make sure everyone gets paid. So that's my 9 to 5. That's what I do daily. But I've authored a couple of books, which I know I've shared with you. I do some public speaking. I do lots of video content, YouTube content, social media content. So I keep myself pretty busy with the entrepreneurial space. But title insurance is how I make my money. And I've been doing it for a long time.
You know, I like the concept of running in when there's a fire, because most people run away. right? And business owners might too. I don't know. I wouldn't want to deal with them because that's a big part of doing business is dealing with the problem. As a matter of fact, problems are opportunities. That's when you get to shine. That's when you really get to be able to do stuff. And if clients are having problems, that's really when you can help them and turn things around dramatically.
Yeah, I mean, we've learned that over the years, we know it takes 5 years for an entrepreneur to be truly successful before like you have it. And not very many are successful. So, we have seen in our space specifically, but in any space, any business, most people don't have your back like that brotherhood that's created in the fire service, where it's like, I've got you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to make sure your business succeeds. I'm going to make sure you're going to be the most successful real estate entrepreneur that you can. And one of our books we wrote simply on that premise, like you can be the entrepreneur of your real estate business. Stop thinking like your traditional real estate agent or mortgage broker or investor. Start thinking like a real estate entrepreneur. So that's my passion, is that coaching side. And I just love seeing these people like thrive, especially during tough economic times. It's even more heartfelt for me to just see them and know that I have their back and we're helping to launch their business.
That's awesome. One of the things that I really enjoyed from our conversation, and I think we're going to start making this our new tagline: work less, make more. Because I think too often business owners are working too damn hard, not making enough. How have you been able to do that?
So, I mean, we've always said that it's work smarter, not harder. One of my good friends trademarked that, work smarter, not harder. And it really has to do with getting simple principles in your business to understand what you do very well as an entrepreneur. The problem is we break them up into three categories. And it's really, you have the entrepreneur, the soulpreneur, and the intrapreneur. So you have the entrepreneur who's constantly trying to run their business, and they have the biggest ability to be able to systemize things and get people to do the things, the day-to-day tasks that the entrepreneur shouldn't be doing. So whether it's leveraging virtual assistants or having your employees in your office doing it, the entrepreneur has the biggest opportunity to do it. The problem is most people aren't entrepreneurs. We call them entrepreneurs, but they're really soulpreneurs, which means that it's them on a deserted island running a business by themselves, and they don't have that ability to be able to designate different tasks to different people because they don't have different people. So in my business, in my space, we look at the real estate entrepreneur. They're really a real estate agent, and they don't grasp the concept of, let me hire a virtual assistant or a transaction coordinator to help me do the tasks that I don't want to do. Right. And then we go down to the soulpreneur. I mean, not the soulpreneur, the intrapreneur, which is the person that's working inside the business, but treats the business like it's their business. And they sometimes do have that ability to say, you know what? I want to go to a higher level. I want to be the CEO. I want to be the CFO. And they have the ability to then designate tasks. So it's really that person in the middle, which I think is what most people that are listening to podcasts and reading self-development books, they are a soulpreneur and they're on an island by themselves.
So I kind of want to expand on that because I look at it as business owner and business operator. A business operator, you might have people in your business, but you're the linchpin. You're the one who everything revolves around. Whereas a business owner has got systems, processes, and people that even if they step out of the business for a couple weeks, nothing changes. And that I think is along the lines of what you're talking about, but the difference. And a lot of times it's hard to let go. And I do love the part, we have a course, and in the course, we have this one whole section called Loves and Drains, where we ask you to sit down and say, what do I love and what drains me? And the whole key of that is to get all the drains off your plate so you can focus on the things you love and the parts of the business you enjoy and get rid of everything else and stop trying to do it all.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you have the book sitting right over your shoulder, traction, which is very important for business owners to implement into their business. But I mean, I think it just comes down to the lifestyle that you want to have. Some people are constantly in that hustle game and they love the money coming in and they just keep working as hard as they can, but they're not thinking about the concept of what if one day I want to sell my business? What if one day I get sick and hurt? What if one day I die? What if one day I'm disabled and I can't run my business? Who is going to do that for me? So I have a great plan for my business. If I were to die, I know what happens. If I were to get disabled, I know what happens. If I want to go on vacation, I know what happens. And I'm constantly checking in. I work from my phone a lot, but I don't need to be at my office. I don't need to be tied to my desk. In fact, I lose money when I'm sitting at the office, obviously, unless I'm producing content and stuff, but just sitting at my desk doesn't make me money. Being out networking, building relationships, which I think we may talk about a little bit, that's really the skill set of a successful business owner is they need to be outside, not inside, but you need to have the right team on the inside to help the business grow and sustain and sift through challenges that come up and to be able to make their business flow smoothly.
And I am a big fan of traction. And I like the fact that it systematizes business meetings. So it's, simple thumbs up, thumbs down. Are we doing what we're supposed to? Are we not? And very focused. And what we do is wonderful because we layer into it with the financial component that is kind of missing in that book. And together it makes for a great operating system for a business. And yeah, we're going to talk about that because one of the things you talked about is that you farm for clients versus hunting for clients. Can you explain what that means and how that looks over time?
Yeah, I mean, when we look at the game of real estate, and that's just, again, what I know, we really look at the average, really the majority of real estate agents are glorified used car salesmen. They are constantly trying to hunt for their next deal. And we wrote a book called The CEO Playbook that walks them through a 52-week program on how they can just become their own real estate entrepreneur and farm future business as opposed to constantly hunting. And what we notice is your traditional real estate agent, and I'm sure this is in a lot of different businesses, depending on what you're selling and what your products or services are, you're constantly looking for the next deal. And if one deal doesn't happen, hell breaks loose and you go crazy and they're stressed and they have, anxiety because maybe that deal was, I had an agent one time, their commission was the Christmas gifts for their kids. And when the deal fell through, they wanted to blame us that now their kids aren't getting Christmas. And I'm like, well, it's going to close, but it's not closing before Christmas. It's going to push until after the new year. And he was devastated because he had no money for his Christmas presents, or he had no money to pay his rent or his utility bills. These are the things that we see. So the anxiety and stress builds up in these businesses where people are constantly having to look for the next deal. So we've come up with in our business the farming method of business, which is let me go find one opportunity that will create 10 deals versus 10 opportunities to create one deal, right? So I try and find better clients that are good for multiple deals a month. So this way I'm not constantly having to go hustle to find the next deal and the next deal. And in my business, we use that example of going to a lot of these real estate meetups and networking events where it's like, I need to go meet 50 real estate agents to get one deal. I'd rather go meet one real estate brokerage that'll generate 50 deals for me. So many years ago, I was in a networking organization called BNI, Business Network International, 20 plus years ago. I'm still a member today, but I met one person who introduced me to one real estate broker that taught me the concept of farming that office to make sure that I have an endless stream of referrals. And I mentored under, I don't know if you've ever read the book, The Go-Giver by Bob Berg, but I mentored under him for many years. And that's basically the concept of creating endless referrals in your business. And that is done by farming, not hunting.
So what I would hear from somebody is an objection possibly is, oh, I went and saw broker X and they've already got somebody they're happy with, right? So what do you do in a situation like that?
It's interesting you bring that up. I took a program many years ago. It was called the Referral Institute. It may still be around these days. But basically, one of the items you had to do was go meet with your competition and find out what they don't do well. So you're not trying to compete with your competition. We're not trying to compete with them and one up them. We're trying to figure out everything our competition doesn't do well, and we're just going to do it. So in that case, it's a perfect example. What I would then do is research the person that is in that office. I would research the company, the owner, and their philosophies, beliefs, and values. And I would just make sure I'm showing up better. Now, this office I told you about years ago, it took me 2 years to get into the office. It wasn't an easy score. But think of it from the concept of now I've been in that office 18 years. That's a big win for someone in my position in a business like mine. So that's the way I look at it. Like, you want to find someone, if you're an insurance agent, you want to find someone who can write 10, 15, 20 policies a month. And it may take you a little bit longer to farm, because farming is not about getting your crops today. It's about getting your crops harvested for next year. So we may have to work it a little bit longer, but once the fruit of the labor comes in, now you are there. So we tell with my staff that come to me to events, I say, I'll shake the tree, you collect the fruit. Because I've already created the tree that is full of fruit. So I'm just going to shake it really hard with my energy, with my passion, with my, getting on stage and speaking. You just catch all the fruit and let's create massive opportunity with it.
Why do you think most people don't farm?
Well, I think it's what I told you is they're living paycheck to paycheck, month to month. They need to pay their rent. They need to pay their kids' tuition to school. They need to buy groceries. They need to put gas in their car. And they can never get ahead because they're not thinking like an entrepreneur. They're not thinking, how do I scale my business? What does my business look like if I want to scale it? They're not thinking, what does my business look like if I want to sell it? What is it if I want to bring in a partner in my business, if I want to raise capital in my business? There are many things that the solopreneur is missing to become an entrepreneur. Whether they're working in their business or on their business, it doesn't matter. The thing is, they can never get out of their own way because they don't put systems and processes in place in order to scale, in order to have that comfort level where, we look at it that if it's a slow month, it's okay. We have enough savings put away, like we're good. And if now 2 months or 3 months are slow, we may need to pivot, make some adjustments. But a lot of people, if it's one slow month, it's crushed them and they can never get out of their own way. It's like the people that miss a mortgage payment. They miss one mortgage payment, then they have a hard time making the second one, and then they become 3 months down, 6 months down, foreclosure, and they get kicked out of their house. You can't get out of it. They don't get out of their own way.
So what do you do if you're kind of stuck on that treadmill right now, the hamster wheel, and you want to get your way out? Where do you kind of begin going from a hunter to a farmer and building these systems and processes?
I'm a big fan of mentorship, right? That's what I'm a big fan of, mentorship and coaching. And I think you need to find somebody, which I've been very, very successful at doing, whether it's paid or whether you're just surrounding yourself with the right people, of people that can teach you to not make the same mistakes that they've made. And that has been one of my success points is I've surrounded myself with the right people, not the wrong people, to really teach me these things. And I told you I was a member of EO, and these are the places where you get to surround yourself people where it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to bring my problems and challenges and emotional self to the table in order to learn from these lessons and figure out how do we strategically position ourselves to be in a different place. Now, obviously, something like EO with the buy-in and requirements, that solopreneur is probably not able to join something like that. But there are masterminds and board of director concept of getting together with like-minded people that can share these ideas that will help you break free from these things happening again. You just have to be open. You have to be vulnerable. But key is you have to find the right people.
And I guess the struggle is the willingness to be open, the willingness to be vulnerable. And then I think it's correct is finding the right people, because that's not always easy. Even you mentioned BNI, and even with EO, every chapter has their own flavor. And so a particular group in your area may not be your flavor. You're going to have to try and find something else until you find the right kind of group for you and for your business. And it does take time. You can't just try once and give up, I guess.
Correct. And I think it's also fear stops a lot of people, because fear of failure, fear of being vulnerable and putting my stuff out there. I've met with people over the years where I'm like, hey, you want to see my tax return? Like, I'll show you how much money I make to show you that I'm a real entrepreneur. Like, when I wrote a book saying I went from being bankrupt to having a business making over 7 figures for many years in a row, I'm not lying to you. Like, I'm not going to platform sell you on some concept that I haven't implemented myself, because I don't believe in that. So I tell people, like, when you're going to hire a mentor, ask them to see their tax return. If they're not successful themselves, how are they going to teach you to be successful? They may be able to give you tips and strategies, but did they really know it works? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. So I'm a big fan of trying to surround myself with people that are successful, people that have done what I'm looking to do, people that have made the mistakes that I don't want to make. And that helps my business go to the next level.
And a couple of things about what you said. One is there's a lot of people out there who can generate revenue, but they spend a lot of money to generate that revenue. So they're not actually profitable. And while it looks like they're doing well, they're really, really struggling. Two, they might have a one-horse system that worked 10 years ago. Times change, right? The way we market changes. The markets change. You have to make sure that they've got more tools in their tool belt than one, and that what they're talking about is still relevant today. So I think it's doing your due diligence to make sure that those criteria are met, because if they're not, you're following a system that's no longer what works, right? I'm not going to put ads on Yahoo anymore, right? Because nobody's going there, right? I'm not going to advertise or get an AOL, whatever, because the world changed. So you have to make sure that it's current and relevant.
It's funny you say that, because I sent out an email the other day just to my day. It was probably the most responded to email I've ever sent in 20 plus years. And it just basically said, hey, I'm here for you. If you need anything, respond to this email, call me, here's my cell phone number, or hit this booking link. And it's funny you say AOL, because a real estate agent on the west coast of Florida messaged back, I don't know you, I don't know what you're asking, and I would never do business with you. But he had an AOL account. I'm thinking to myself, like, who even has that anymore? So here's an email that I was genuinely saying, if you need help, you have a business problem, like, reach out, totally free, just let's connect and talk. And that was his response. And then I just had a chuckle. I almost started responding, but I said, you know what? He has an AOL account. He probably won't understand it anyway. So yes, you need to find people that have failed before. You need to find people who are successful now. You need to find people that are staying relevant in content. Like, I can't teach you about using artificial intelligence in your real estate business if I'm not using artificial intelligence in my real estate business. It doesn't make sense. I can't teach you how not to fail if I've never failed myself. And yes, there are some great business coaches that I'm sure their strategies are great and they're motivational. It's like a fitness trainer. If they're not fit, they shouldn't be a fitness trainer. And there are so many across the country you go in. Like, they're okay, but they're not really fit. They're doing what they need to do. Or the gyms, they hire these young kids who are just there for free classes. They teach them how to instruct, as opposed to going to the place that understands injury, understands movement, understands muscle and recovery and nutrition. You get what you pay for. You just need to find it.
And that's kind of the key. Speaking of going through tough times, I know we've chatted before about planning for storms and building up cash reserves. And, with Profit First, we are big fans of that. I'd love to hear what your advice is for business owners. What should they be doing for cash reserves? How do they look at the finances in their business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've written about this in many of my books because it covers the topics. But the one I can think about off the top of my head is my book I wrote, Rescue Your Business, which basically talks about how I went from being totally bankrupt to building a 7-figure business. And a lot of that has to do with, I relate back, and I mentioned in the book, the Dave Ramsey method, which is save your first $1,000, put it away, then save 3 to 6 months of living expenses, then work on paying off credit card debt, then work on, retirement accounts and things like that. So I encourage people to follow him and there's so much free content from him about saving money, but that was really the concept behind what I've done in my business to become totally debt free. I don't own any debt except a very small mortgage on my house with a very low interest rate. It makes no sense to pay off. But I don't have credit card debt. I don't have car debt. I don't believe in any of that. And that may be a little bit crazy just because of what I went through in failing in the last crash. But the problem was there was nobody to teach me entrepreneurship. There was no one to teach me I'm making $30,000 a month as a mortgage, real estate, and title insurance company. And I needed to put money away for taxes. Like I'm getting a 1099 and I had to pay tax. I had no idea. Oh, I had to make quarterly payments. I had no idea. So I got myself in such a hole that I didn't know how to dig myself out. So I teach people like that. Those are the small baby steps you need to work on. You can't save for college until you save for yourself. If you don't have savings and a cushion in your bank account, you can't start saving for a rainy day. So you start with baby steps of being debt free. Don't go buy the expensive car. Keep your payments super low. Shop around for your insurance premiums every year to lower your insurance premiums, things like that. So you need to kind of look at a balance sheet and say, hey, here's an Excel spreadsheet. Here's my income. Here's my expenses. Oh, I'm negative every month. Let me see, what can I do to adjust a little bit? Maybe cancel some of those silly subscriptions, Netflix and all these things just to save $40, $50 a month. So we go through this exercise with people that want to sit with us just because I love it. Like I love going through it. I'll go through it with employees of mine, friends of mine, and clients of mine to just show them like there is a future if you learn how to prepare for it properly. So I have done that. I keep X amount of money in a high yield interest savings account. That's my cushion to make sure that I need 3 to 6 months of savings just in case the market were to slow down. And perfect example, when COVID hit, business crashed and we needed to pivot a little bit. We didn't lay one person off. We were able to survive until we were able to get the PPP loan funding to cover payroll. We wound up not laying one person off during COVID because I said, I have your back and we've saved for the rainy day and we're ready to go. Then we had a little bit of a challenge this past December. It was December, January. Real estate market was super slow. Interest rates spiked up. Inventory wasn't what it should be. And it was slow. We went down to a really, really bad deal, probably a third of what we normally do. So, you just have to be ready to pivot for these rainy days. And like I said, when I first started this part, the Dave Ramsey method is great of just small things. Take small baby steps instead of trying to do all of it, and you'll be prepared when the storm hits.
I find most people don't think a storm is coming. And the reality is they are always coming, and they come in a variety of flavors, right? COVID, real estate crash, interest rates, other opportunities, your health. I mean, crashes are all around.
Yeah. Election, war, it all comes up, everything. It all has an effect on the economy, regardless of what you believe in, what religion you believe in, what political party you're part. It doesn't matter. The thing is, the crashes and the crisis will happen. The question, which I think you mentioned originally, is like, how do you take crisis and turn it into opportunity? You got to be prepared, because if you're not prepared, what happened to me back in the crash of 2006, 2007, I was a newbie entrepreneur. I wasn't even 5 years into my business. And unfortunately, the crash happened and I wasn't prepared to go from 30 deals a month to 3 deals a month. And my business totally failed. I was paying employees on my cash advance credit card and stopped payment on everything. I lost my house. I lost my car because I just wasn't prepared. And I swore I'd never allow it to happen. But not only never allow it to happen again, I'm going to teach others to not allow it to happen again. And that's what I do really, really well and just love doing. I should almost be a business coach one day, everyone says, but it's just a passion of mine. I love doing it.
Well, and that's the thing. When you do what you love, you're going to win against everyone else because you're willing to show up and continually improve and do better. I mean, and it's the same way with me. We continually, constantly are improving, figuring out new, better ways to be able to help people and to help them survive and thrive, because that's the end of the game. If you have enough cash to survive through a pivot, it all works out. And it's actually during downtimes where everyone else is giving up that you get to pick up a ton of ground and to make a ton of relationships. Again, you're planting seeds at that point that when things start coming out of the recession, you have the opportunity to really thrive. Or in certain industries, you have the ability to take over all your competitors. And that's the other way to thrive. They're not going to sell out when things are good, and you can't afford them when things are good. When things are bad, that's when opportunities become available at pennies on the dollar. But you have to have the cash and the ability to pivot in those moments and to be able to do that.
That is correct.
So you mentioned earlier you're part of EO. How has EO helped you?
So EO, for those of you that are listening, is a higher level mastermind called Entrepreneurs Organization, worldwide organization, many, many chapters around the world. And part of that is there are income requirements in order to join. Each chapter has their own requirements. And it's the concept of we're getting in the room and connecting with people that are successful, where, you go to the chambers, you go to the BNI events, you go to some of these different things. You don't know if they're solopreneurs, intrapreneurs, entrepreneurs. They just started their business. They've been in business 6 months. With EO is typically people that have a track record with their business. They've been a serial entrepreneur, or they're in business for quite some time. They have a higher level of revenue that's coming into their business, which means they've made mistakes that you get to ask them about, and how, if you're having a problem or a challenge, you need a solution, you need an introduction to someone, they can make an introduction. You have a health challenge, you need someone at a local hospital. Chances are someone in EO knows somebody. So it gives you a network. Now you're paying for this network, but it's giving you a network of people that have failed, a network of people that have made mistakes, and a network of people that now have thriving businesses. And I think that's real. I like the earlier part of that, are people that have failed and made mistakes and lost their businesses and been bankrupt. I like that part because that's where you create growth and opportunity. The networking and the relationship building and the friends that you're making. I know you interviewed Joel Gandara a couple of months ago. He's a very dear friend of mine who I met through EO, and we've done so much together. We were just together last week out with a U.S. war hero, Israel Del Toro. We took DT to a baseball game and had a wonderful day experience. So these are the things, the opportunities that are created when you're playing at a much higher level. Right? We're not playing Monopoly. We're playing cash flow. We're playing at a much higher level of learning and experience shares and things like that. And it goes back to what I said earlier of being vulnerable, right? The vulnerability, being able to open myself up, being able to tell you my problems and my challenges, my mistakes, what my balance sheet looks like, what my bank account looks like, what my relationships are like, and not be afraid you're going to judge me, but you're going to genuinely want to help me.
And I totally get it. It's a big part of what I do. And I have found a lot of business owners are hesitant because they got to get naked financially. And when we look at their numbers, we see everything they've done and we understand it. But part of it is also, it's not like we're digging to blame. We're digging to understand so that we can prevent that from happening again, so that we can build a better path forward and we can help them with some of the money mindsets and the behaviors that have prevented that.
But you're also digging to build people up, right? You're digging to elevate and to empower. And, these are the things of it's who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with losers and haters and failures, you're not going to be successful. Surround yourself with the right people and great things will happen because people are willing to experience, share, and help you grow.
And I think that's a real, real big part of it. Is there anything we should have talked about but didn't get a chance to?
No, I mean, I think we covered a broad range of things from financial to relationships to farming your relationships to joining high level masterminds. And I think the moral of this podcast really comes down to surround yourself with the right people. If you surround yourself with the right people, you'll be able to ask the right questions and find the right answers in order to be very successful.
And I agree with that. Now, I don't think it matters what kind of business you run. I know my local guy who actually does pools and hardscaping and all of that. He's got a long backlog of clients because he's gone out and built relationships, and he continues to nurture those relationships. And that turns into more and more clients where people are like, I want to work with him because everyone has said he's going to do a good job for me, take care of it, and bring me that complete thing. So I don't think matters what type of business you are. You've got to figure out how to build those appropriate relationships with the people who will refer into your business.
Correct.
And be able to do that. And in his case, which is different than you've got a recurring business model. In other words, if you connect with an office, they're constantly bringing you business. But in this case, you put in a pool, you're not putting in a pool for a while, but yet he is still able to build that referral base in a non-repetitive business. And so you just got to figure out how to do it for you and figure out how others are successful and learn from them and go out and do it.
Yeah, it can be done in any business, any field. You just have to change your mindset a little bit and don't be the one that's constantly in getting all this education and reading all these books and not implementing anything either. You need to take smaller strategies, something like this, a 30+ minute podcast, and implement one strategy. And we've talked about 4 or 5 strategies. Implement one of the 4. Then next month, implement the second one. And the third month, implement the next one. And then eventually you have farmed a very successful business that is recession-proof, crash-proof, problem-proof, and you're able to continue to thrive.
Absolutely. If people would like to learn more about you and your books, what's the best way for them to find you?
So my website is TitleRate.com. I have everything on there from my books to my podcast to my YouTube channel to my contact information. So TitleRate.com is really the best single source spot, or just put my name in Facebook or Instagram. You'll find me on there as well.
And we'll do that. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Let's face it, we can all experience storms, but when you have cash, you really don't have problems. And that's the power of Profit First. What are you doing to build your support systems, learning opportunists, and creating a farm of potential sales ready to be harvested? I think that's a lot easier than hunting, but if you like to hunt, have at it. We shared a few ways to do this. Why not pick 1 or 2 and implement this? Because then you don't need more resources. You're being more resourceful and focused on the bottom line.
If you'd like for us to be a part of your profitability journey, we have different programs available ranging from do-it-yourself to one-on-one coaching. Our course, The Profit Blueprint, teaches you everything you need to know to transform your profitability. There are 3 different tiers ranging from DIY to done with you so that businesses of all sizes can get the support that's best. Join the waitlist in the show notes to get more information and be a part of the next cohort. If you want a done-for-you service, you can hire us as your Chief Profitability Officers. We only work with a handful of clients, so they all get our full attention. We work with business owners who have or are growing to $500,000 to $10 million in revenue. You can use the scheduling link in the show notes to get on our calendar for a good fit conversation to see if we're the right people to support you and how we can help you.
Remember to check out my other podcast, Richer Soul, where we talk about how to live the ultimate life and be the best business owner you can be. As we close out, let's repeat the mantra. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. Have an abundant and profitable week.